welcome to the safety zone with Dan and Dave. Oh, wait a minute. Dan's not here, so I guess it's the safety zone with just Dave here. I'm all on my own with this podcast today. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we're getting a call here. This will be our first call. Let's see who this is. Hello?
Hey, Dave. What's going on? This is Dan.
Oh, my goodness. Man,
You trying to work without me?
Oh, well, I guess I thought this was going to be a good day, but now you're going to try calling in. So, all right, well, you know what? This is a new thing for us. This is episode 8. Today, by the way, is May the 7th. And you know what? We're going to try a call-in, Dan, see how it sounds, see if we can kind of progress this podcast a little bit more. Maybe we can be able to reach out to some drivers, such as yourself today.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to be able to talk to different drivers, in different buildings, anytime, that'd be awesome. So
yeah.
I'd like to hear their perspective on things.
Yeah, kind of see what's going on, hey, guys sitting around waiting on a trailer up at catch, hey, what's going on, and we can kind of throw some of that in there and see what really goes on in the day of the life of our feeder drivers,
I agree absolutely.
All right, well, so hey, since you're out there, man, how's the weather out there now?
Oh, the weather is great. This time of year, the weather, this week especially, the weather has started to, really get good. Last week we had a lot of rain. It was nasty. Didn't really want to get outside. Now it's like very distracting. Makes you want to take a couple days off work. In fact, I might take a day off work. Here pretty soon, get some stuff done. But just lots of stuff you think about being able to do now that the weather's turning.
Right, and just like you said, hey, it's pretty distracting. You get those nice days, your mind starts to wander. You kind of lose a little bit of focus. Not only while you're driving, but kind of when you're hooking up, and that's the things that we talk about all the time. About staying, on task, and do the things you're doing, stay focused on them.
I agree. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It is. It's hard.
Yeah, very hard. And then also throw in there, my daughter is raised, so that doesn't affect me, but definitely for you with your 3 daughters, school is out in 2 weeks. I can't believe it.
I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, this is a true story. I was pulling up our lunch menu for my daughters the other day, seeing what they were having for lunch, and I noticed that only half of the calendar was filled out, from the school, and it took me a minute. And I literally said out loud to my wife, I said, oh my God, last month of school. I'm just, I literally cannot believe that it's already May. The time is flying by. Having kids, our kids are getting active and in sports and all sorts of stuff now. So it feels like the year is just blowing by me right now, and I cannot believe they're going to be out of school in 2 weeks. It just doesn't. It's still not registered right.
Right. And speaking for someone that's they're my daughter's older now and out of school and all that kind of thing. When I look back, I realize how fast all those kind of things went because you are so busy with everything that has to do with them that time just clicks by so fast, and it's shocking. It really is.
It is. We talked in the last couple podcasts about the things I like to do in the spring and stuff like that, and turkey hunting and the mushroom hunting and stuff like that. I don't have time to do what I want to do anymore.
Right.
I turkey hunted one day this year. I've mushroom hunted one time. We did get lucky and get into a big mess of mushrooms. But even trying to find the time to have a good meal with the family is tough. We had a meal last night with my mother-in-law and father-in-law and my parents, with the mushrooms, and it was the only night of the week we could do it. We've got volleyball tonight, and then softball the next 4 nights after that, and Saturdays all day. So it's just something that I hear everybody talk about it. now I'm right in the middle of it, in the thick of it, and it's just
Well,
crazy.
well, because I mean, really for you, I mean, school is like, well, it's not free, but let's call it free babysitting for you, correct? I mean, because
Right.
you get in this time of year, now you got to find somebody to watch them while you're working or your wife's working, and
Right.
you got to keep them occupied, got to keep them busy, keep them out of trouble, and part of that is these sports, so I hear that your daughters are playing softball. You said, oh, you also said volleyball, but I heard about the softball. But I hear that you're a new coach. You and your wife both.
Yeah, we coach the 8U softball for my oldest daughter, and then we kind of help with the 7U for our middle daughter. Now she's two. She should not be playing 7U. She's young, but in order for the schedule to work out, that's what we did. But yeah, we're coaching my oldest daughter's team. That has been an experience, Coaching girls is. I always help coach my nephew and stuff like that. That's no big deal. I'm used to that. Coaching girls is a different ball game,
Dealing with a lot of different things that Well, I mean, with 3 girls, I mean, I'm sure you're used to a lot of that.
Yeah.
Now, but it's a little different, and I'm trying to sit here and picture myself. I mean, you're the coach of this team. I mean, how are you guys like on the bottom part of your league? I mean, are you any good or?
I mean, listen, the girls I think are doing a great job in practice. I think they're way above where they were last year. But sometimes we've had 3 games. They get in the middle of a game and it's like they forget how to hit the ball. I mean, and it's like I didn't think I'd get frustrated from an 8-year-old's, softball game, but man, oh man, can it be frustrating,
Well, because it's hard to keep kids that age. Listen, softball, baseball, you have those down periods between outs and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to keep these kids focused on just playing the game and not thinking about whatever else they want to be doing.
It really is. It's hard to keep them focused. I mean, we had a game the other day playing against Mount Zion. They're like kind of like for anybody that doesn't know, like Decatur, we've got a small town that joins us to the north, Forsyth, and then we've got Mount Zion that's kind of to the southeast of us, that adjoins also. And both of those school districts play their sports year-round, and they have several girls that try out. I think the Forsyth team had 77 girls try out for an 8U travel team. They are very good. Our program is just getting started, and so we had 9 girls. I mean, that's it. 9 girls tried out. Everybody's on the team. So we're working with what we got. They're doing a good job. The Mount Zion team, everybody knows they play all year round. They're good too. But we played them the other day. And I mean, their third baseman was playing halfway between third base and home plate. And never in my life did I want the girls to connect and start hitting the ball hard, as I did that game. And I mean, they couldn't for the life of them touch the ball. It was just so frustrating for me. I had to put my face in my glove a couple times. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm pitching to them, and then, it's frustrating.
The only way to back a third baseman off that wants to play that close is to hit a rocket right at him.
You gotta hit a freaking rocket at him, It's like, I don't want an 8-year-old girl to get hurt, but I was just begging for somebody to get up there and hit a rope down the line,
Right.
So,
well, but this is all part of, you trying to juggle, work and home life and, this time of year, with all these sports that kids get involved in, which I think it's a great thing, obviously. But I tell you what, it's a big task for parents, because hey, those baseball diamonds, they don't get ready by themselves, uniforms don't get ordered by themselves, and the parents are all the ones doing it. And there again, that relates right back to your job. hey, whenever I'm at work, I got to be at work. I got to keep, things going, stay on those tasks. And when I'm away, then I can do it. But I mean, everybody is human. We tend to try to multitask and do all those things, and it's very difficult to juggle, the combination of both of them.
Well, it is. I mean, and that's the thing. I'm fortunate right now. You know, I don't work a lot of hours, and I'm not working nights like I used to for so many years. So, working nights, I always burn the candle at both ends. I was always tired. Right now, that's a little bit easier for me, but it's still tough. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how. So it's difficult for how I've got it right now, and I feel like it. I've got the best case scenario. And it's still difficult.
Well, we've always talked about, hey, doctor's appointments, sick kid, all those things were easier for guys that work nights because, you'd have to break up your sleep and go do whatever, and you try to make it up somewhere else. I mean, that's not good for you at all.
That's right.
But it's just as difficult for the guys that are working days because, then you got to take time off. You're not getting paid.
That's right.
And so that affects you financially. I mean, those are difficult things to handle. So, let me run one more thing. So we talked about school being out. Obviously, we know now. In a couple of weeks here, school's out. I mean, it not only means great, buses ain't going to be running around, whatever, but it will mean that there's going to be a lot more drivers out there, especially young drivers. So that's another thing. Keeping an eye out for all of them.
Absolutely, all those 16-year-olds that are that would be in school, they're back on the road now. Gonna be on the road when we're on the road. Definitely need to watch out for them, and that as well as the farmers. That have been they have been getting out and working in the fields, but that's another hazard that comes with the weather changing in this time of year.
When school's getting out. That means farmers are getting in the fields. I mean, that goes years back. That's what those farmers had their own kids, and they're getting out of school. They're going right into the fields, and they're going to start working the fields. Well, they're obviously getting out there. The fields are starting to get worked. Fields are starting to get planted. And that's where we always try to send something out. Hey, slow down. Give them room. Obviously, their equipment. I mean, we think we drive big equipment. Their equipment is humongous, and for the most part, they're driving them on a lot skinnier roads on those country roads.
Well, that's just it. That's where, our idling time and being focused and not being distracted when you're driving makes a huge difference because, a little bit of distraction, for just a couple seconds, you are covering so much area, so many yards, in just a couple seconds of being distracted that if you have a piece of farm equipment going down the road that you didn't see, you're going to be on them in a matter of just no time.
Absolutely.
So it's very important to just stay focused and not be distracted going down the road.
Absolutely. So, okay, Dan. So let's get into some of the news. We got some new details of the closure of Danville Center. We've talked about that last couple episodes. That reminds me too. Everybody, our next episode for next week, we're going to try to have Andy Hobaugh. He's a Danville feeder driver, soon to be Urbana feeder driver, and we're going to have him on here. We want to talk to him about how this has kind of changed his life, even his job, those kind of things. So we're gonna want to talk to him next week. So hopefully everybody will be able to tune in for that. But so some of the details, Dan, that we've heard, the closure of the building right now is set at June 9th.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
I did see that letter that Kurt sent out. Kind of cleared up some things that I think some people were worried about. Feeder drivers in Danville, and I mean, we talk about feeder drivers all the time because that's what you and I are, Dave, and that's the people we know over there in Danville are the feeder drivers, and we were kind of worried, we just didn't know how that was going to affect them, if they were going to the drivers who were on runs that weren't going to be transferring, what their options were going to be. But we did find out, that they were all going to be able to dovetail into the Urbana building.
Right. That was the worry. I mean, nobody really knew. Their jobs were kind of up in the air about, hey, Urbana's already got feeder drivers there for their runs. How much is Danville going to kind of be bringing with it? Are they going to be following runs? We looked at the contract book. Article 8's got the layoff language in it. The fact is this is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah.
In all the years I've been here that I know of, I mean, it could have happened somewhere else, but in our area, we've never had a building closure. And
at least not in our careers, not in our time here. I mean, it's definitely a new situation to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it was only 5 years ago, dude. All these centers were expanding because of, volume, and, they considered it COVID, volume and all those kind of things. And, we never would have even thought about this 5 years ago. But it is a reality now. And, these guys are going to have to make some decisions. And, it's going to change the way that they go to work. Before they might have had a 5-minute drive to work, and now it could be longer, or potentially they could even move. They might want to move.
Well, that's just it. There's going to be a lot of decisions they've got to make. And it's unfortunately, when any of this stuff happens, it's going to affect people that way to where they have to drive. But it's also probably going to affect some people to where they're not going to work as often as they were, and that's the part of this whole thing that is very difficult for everybody. It's just a tough situation.
Yeah. So we know from the letter and stuff that the drivers they're all going to be allowed to dovetail their seniority.
Right.
We know that the runs for now are not going to be rebid until the next October bid, correct?
Right. They're not going to be rebid. Those drivers that are on those bids will remain on those bids. But, that will still be everyone's bid. But that doesn't mean, with the Article 8 layoff language, it doesn't mean people that are on those jobs are going to be able to stay on those jobs necessarily until October. So basically, my understanding is there's going to be 9 drivers in Urbana now with only 6 jobs. Is that correct? Is that what's in the letter?
That is correct. That's correct.
Okay. So, with that said, it'll go into the layoff language, and then drivers will be able to bump if they come over from Danville and they do not have a bid job, but they dovetail into the board. They're going to be able to bump into the board, into a job based on their full-time company seniority date. And so it's just going to kind of be a little bit of a mess over there for a little while until the next bid,
Yeah, because, even package car drivers are going to be kind of the same. Actually, there's going to be some work that goes to Kankakee. There might be some work that goes to Mattoon, and the other work goes to Urbana. So, that'll all be, some issues as well, figuring all that out, which, by that time, they've given, seems like plenty of time to be able to figure some of that out. But we was pretty worried about how they were going to do feeders, because, we don't want anybody left out there in the wind. I don't care what your seniority is. If you've been with the company longer, that's just the way that stuff works. So
that's right. I agree with you, Dave.
Okay, well, other than that, one of the advantages of being able to do this podcast in here, I actually got some news that's pulled up here. I've got a few other things. Next week they are doing another one of the CVSA International Road Check. That's the 13th through the 15th, so it's 3 days basically. So we'll be sending stuff out about that. I mean, we typically don't have to worry a lot about that, but you know what? I don't want to be the one pulled over. Those road checks are brutal. So.
That's right. Hey, our reputation, UPS reputation is that things are taken care of, that we do a good job all the time. We've talked about it before. I mean, we just need to make sure that, we are doing the proper pre-trips and we are doing the proper post-trips. And if we do get pulled over, we don't have anything to worry about. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's when you do a proper pre-trip, that going down the road, somebody pulls you over, it's going to be smooth sailing. You're back on the road before you know it.
Yeah, there you go.
Good
I
peace of mind.
I got one other one. Well, I got a couple other ones. We'll just glance over here. One of them is 100 workers. UPS is to lay off 100 workers in Middleburg Heights. Well, you know where Middleburg Heights is, right? Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember the Middleburg loads that we used to bring back from the triples pad?
I do.
Where those came from, and that's the things that we talk to guys about, asking questions. You start losing loads and those things. You wonder where volume goes, and if it is a volume issue or if they're sending those loads somewhere else. That's why we tell guys, because it definitely affects runs that way. It just hit me that said Middleburg on it. And, I used to pull those 2 loads back here, and now they're gone, and now they're going to lay off some people, and I don't know if that's, because of Amazon we don't know all the reasons for that. But it's just, it was a funny thing that hit me. One of the other things is, they put out a deal with UPS and the post office, both are slashing, staff, which, I mean, there again, we've talked about that. We know things are changing, I know the company has to make changes, but, we did see Sean O'Brien come out, and, he wasn't too happy because, they were supposed to actually, put on 30,000 jobs over the course of our contract, and, with slashing 20,000, that's 50,000 jobs difference, dude. And that's going to be hard for the company to adhere to the contract. That way. We just hope that the economy gets better and these things with the trucking industry starts settling down to where we kind of get back to business again.
Well, that's just it. I mean, I think it's just a matter of people having a little more confidence, and the price of everything has been so high for the last few years. I feel like with fuel and just everything, at my house, I'm sure everybody else's house, but everything is more expensive nowadays. We've talked about that a lot. And I think that there's just not as much money left over at the end of the month for everybody right now to be buying the unnecessary things that, that people were buying before. You know what I mean? And so, it's just going to be an adjustment. I hope with the price of oil and fuel and things like that coming down, that things kind of level off here, and our volume and everything like that will get back to normal.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, Dan. So let's get you. I don't want to keep you too long being on the phone, but let's get to our main topic. This week and next week are corporate topics. So it's basically things that UPS corporate wants to see for safety, and their big thing for this week is get close and stay in the zone, which is basically lifting and lowering is what it really is. And next week will be intersections. So we've had a little bit of stuff. I've got one personally for me, and then the intersections we just had something that we dealt with. We'll talk about. But it's basically lifting and lowering. And for feeder drivers, we've always talked about the dolly, being the main thing. That's where we typically see most of our injuries. But one of the things that I don't know, if guys have realized over the time, but I can tell you from the time that I was trained that the methods, have improved over the years. So what they taught, 20, 30 years ago may have been the only thing that they knew at the time, or that's the way the equipment was. But now, as we get into it more, not that we came up with it, it's just the fact that we figured out better ways that's easier on your body to lift these dollies. And
Right.
it is definitely this push versus the pull that we talk about. Yes, we're lifting and lowering the dolly, but typically we're moving it in one direction or the other a little bit to get it on those pedals. So what is the different method that we're using that helps you the most on moving that dolly?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the handles are different on the dollies than they used to be when you and I started. They're bigger handle. You can pick that dolly up and really, bending your knees, just lift it with your legs, and be able to just put your thigh behind the handle and always push the dolly. That catch video that Jim did on his dolly handling and setup was incredible. I mean, how he offset the tractor. I mean, it's just something that I really never thought about doing. It was a matter of, getting the tractor as close to the dolly as I could, lifting it up, putting it on the tractor. But, you're right. You kind of always go, one way or the other. He always offsets it to where when he picks the dolly up, he's pushing it towards the tractor, but also kind of pushing it away from his body.
And not pulling, right? He's never
pulling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it makes a huge difference, And so, we hurt our backs out here, Dave. I think you're kind of dealing with a little physical therapy right now for your back. You know, and you can tell everybody. I mean, it affects the things you like to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily affecting me coming into work and doing my job now. I mean, I can tell you, if I was driving every day, it would probably bother me just as bad. But I mean, mine's not just from it's not a lifting issue or something like that. I mean, it could have been. I don't really know. But I think a lot of mine, according to me going to these physical therapists, dude, I am so tight that my hamstrings are so tight, which leads up into your backside, which leads into your back, and everything is tied together. And I'm learning that the little thing that we put out there before, and the companies put out there about like stretching prior to work, and guys just kind of whatever. Because I was one of them. I was like, what do I need to do that for? Well, I'm here to tell you. At my age, which I think age has a little bit, but it's also activity, that affects the way I do things anymore. So I have been doing nothing but stretching. When I go to the gym now, I mean, I can't believe how long to properly stretch, how long it takes. I spend an hour to an hour and 20 minutes, and I try to go every day. I'm trying to force myself, but that's the kind of time I spend just stretching, So, yes, we've been doing this weight loss thing. By the way, you didn't weigh in, and I know why you didn't, because you're up on your weight. We won't get into that. But I will tell you that I've lost that weight. It's good. It hasn't helped my back yet, but I mean, this stretching I can tell is starting to make a difference. I am getting more flexible, and it is a big thing. And because I always figured I play golf, as much as I possibly can, which is now being limited because of this. But when I do one activity, I've seen things about the golfers that they don't swing just in one direction all the time. These guys start practicing, and when they're doing their stretching, they're stretching the other way as well. Because when you do an activity the same way all the time, something eventually happens, and then it's too late, And that's the things I'm starting to learn is these muscles are all tied in to one another. And boy, when you have a problem like I've had here of these muscle spasms, I mean, it's just impossible for me to do the things that I want to do. And I told you before, it pisses me off. I mean, so I'm trying to do the things outside this, but I'm spending so much time, which I wish I would have done a long time ago,
Well, that's just it. I mean, obviously you said that age has something to do with it. I was shocked when I found out how old you were. I mean, you look way older than you actually are, but obviously,
we're gonna have to cut this phone call off. I'm not gonna listen to this garbage.
I mean, you're getting old, Dave, and I think you're just gonna have to get used to just, feeling like an old man. Especially, as inactive as you are nowadays, and you need to. You say you go to the gym every day, but I haven't seen it. So maybe if Dave gets serious about it, it'd be all right. But until then, I'll let you know on the next episode how many times Dave went to the gym. But
wow,
it'll probably be once.
Man, when you start saying things, there is payback, and I can't wait till your daughters get of age to start dating. And I hope we are going to continue this podcast during that time, because you are going to reap the benefits of this. So,
hey, you know why I shaved my beard the other day? Shannon's like, "Oh my God, your whole front of your face is white." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." I shaved it immediately. So it's got to be the girl.
Okay, so we, all kidding aside, which it should have been kidding, but I think Dan's kind of serious. Anyways, the one other one was intersections. And we just had an incident, which, no fault of our driver at all, but it wasn't an instance, and it was actually a left turn, and it was at an intersection. And, our driver went into the turn lane, which was the only turn lane. And I did get some other details about the other driver that, let's just set the scenario. He was turning left. Our driver was. The driver next to him was in the lane that was supposed to go straight or to the right. And they decided to turn left. And they basically turned left, drove up, I guess tried to beat our driver, because that was not a 2-lane road. It was one way, and one lane. And they clipped our driver in the bumper. And then when they did, it spun their car around and then hit the other side of his bumper. And, it was all a fiasco. Well, we did hear a few other details from the other driver that, there was chaos going on in her car at the time. So, obviously, it's not just intersections, and it's not just left-hand turns. It is distracted driving as well.
There you go. There had to be more to the story. Last I had heard about it, I didn't hear any extra details, but there had to be. You just don't turn left right into a semi-truck unless you're distracted. I don't know how that would happen.
Yeah, and like we said, in the video that we did, it was daylight, and
right.
You sit there and you think, just like I told you, I don't want to be in these people's head, because we see so much out there. You just can't fathom what's going on with them, but I just don't think most of them know the results. Listen, man, if she makes the wrong move coming around him, and it clips her car in a certain way, that car can go underneath that tractor.
That's right.
And when you got your kids in the car, what are you thinking?
That's right, man.
Nothing is worth all of that, to hurry to get past somebody, or hurry because you didn't turn when you're supposed to, when you could have went down the street about another 100 feet and turn around in a restaurant. There's all kinds of things, but they made that decision, which then involved our driver, which then he gets scrutinized, which, is always an uncomfortable position to be in when you try to explain kind of what happened, and, even at something like this, even with the forward-facing cameras, the only thing it's going to pick up is the end. You can't explain what happened to the side of you.
That's right. That's just it. And here's the thing. You talk about getting in a hurry. I think we've all been in a hurry in our own personal cars on the road. But how many times, have you went flying by somebody because they're going so slow on the road, and then all of a sudden, you get stuck at a stoplight, and you're the same person you just passed pulls up right next to you or right behind you. You really, at the end of the day, you're not saving that much time.
No.
By blowing around somebody in town. in the grand scheme of things, you're saving a couple seconds, and that's about it.
Well, and
Makes you feel better, I guess, sometimes.
so sometimes it makes you feel like you're getting somewhere quicker. But I'll put a challenge out there for everybody. Next time you drive anywhere on a vacation, just try to pay attention to what trucks are around you, what semis are around you.
Yeah.
And the number of times that you have to stop and go to the bathroom, and whether it be you or your wife or your kids, right? A lot more people to take care of, and go to the bathroom, then you hurry up and get back on the road and get going. Guess what? Those trucks are still rolling, and it's the same ones, and you keep repassing them the whole time.
Over and over and over again. That's
So
right.
it doesn't matter whether you're running 10 mile an hour over or whatever. You're not getting anywhere with the way the roads are now and as packed and congested as they are. You're not getting anywhere any faster than somebody else is. That really
right.
makes any difference. So.
That's right. I agree.
Okay, Dan. Well, hey, this is a good experiment. This is what we've been wanting to try. See how this kind of sounds. We know, you can't make a phone sound like you're sitting right here in the office. I will tell you. I mean, I like it way better than sitting next to you. I mean, because it makes me feel a lot more comfortable, and we could throw in the fact that I don't like the way you smell. So that's just. You call me old.
Whatever.
Yeah, you call me old. I think you stink. So. Okay, well let's wrap this up. Hopefully everybody gets something out of this. Hopefully this works pretty good. Hopefully we'll be able to start contacting some of all of you drivers out there. Get some guys to participate a little bit. Tell us some of your stories, what goes on. Me and Dan only have so many stories that we can tell. I mean, we got plenty of them. It'll last for a while, but that's what we're wanting to do is get everybody involved. Get some new things out there. Maybe somebody will pick something up. Like this dolly handling, or what goes on in an intersection, and maybe it'll do some good out there, and we'll see how it goes. So.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Dan, thanks for calling in. We'll see how this all comes out. I'll let you know tomorrow, and we'll look forward to talking to Andy and getting some of his perspective next week.
That's right. I look forward to it.
All right, sounds good, everybody. Thanks for being here in the safety zone with Dan and Dave, and we will see you next week. Be safe out there.